Hey everyone, I'm Caroline Rena and welcome to the Ride of My Life podcast. This is an interesting time. I'm back in South Florida, and part of this process is to reinvent, so to speak, my life or remember my life and bring the truth of who I am, who I've recognized, who I discovered over the past year and a half, almost 2 years. Into my life and change some things around and continue to learn more about myself and just adjusting, excuse me, and just recognizing some things about myself. Now, I want to share some things that are pretty deep to me, and I don't normally go into this and talk about it, but the reason there was a catalyst in my life that people call parental alienation, and you can look it up. It's basically the custodial parent or the person who has the child or children either lie to or don't tell the whole truth to the kids. And that's my version of understanding because that was my experience. And it was also my catalyst. And because it was my catalyst, it drove me into a space of deep, deep fear and intense depression and isolation and pain. I lost my kids. And it wasn't like an estrangement kind of thing. It was more of um, they were being, at the time, they were being told things that were uh, that you don't tell a child about their other parent. I'll just say that. And while I was going through that, I started to see glimpses of myself, of who of my truth, of my strength and that. But it was very, very small. I mean, minuscule. And it took a lot for me to walk through that. I went through, for some of you who know what dark nights of the soul are, basically my entire existence just fell apart. I was on the floor crying and screaming. I lost my children. I lost my life. I lost, things that meant the world to me. And of course, my kids who meant the world to me. And it was tragic and sad. And I felt helpless and I felt unloved by everyone. Except I did have one friend at the time who supported me in that walk and kind of got me over that initial hump and stayed with me for a while. But I was still learning. I was still trying to understand myself. I was still trying to get through the depression and through, I mean, throughout my life, up until about a few years ago, there were even thoughts of suicide, because if you feel isolated and you've been traumatized and you don't feel loved, and what's the point? What's the purpose of being here? I didn't understand that. And it took a lot for me to be able to come out of that. It was a lot of work and it wasn't easy. And I also noticed that not everybody does this the same way. And I just happen to have my design of being able to, I guess, walk through this, but I'm also seeing people who it just doesn't feel possible. It just doesn't feel, it's like staying, I don't know. It's like you see all these people and some people can do it and some people can't and aren't, or not can't, but they're not able to understand how to walk through this. And there was a time, I think I've talked about this before, where there are some people in life who have been traumatized. Like, for example, I think like Oprah Winfrey. She was raped when she was a child, molested, and look at where she's at right now. And how did she do that? And I always see information in regards to that where the person had some sort of a mentor that helped them and but they didn't help them in such a way that they're like, come on, let's do this, whatever. They mirrored them, the parts of the child that were important, that were amazing, that enabled them to build on that and become who they are. And then there are people out there who don't get a mentor. They don't get that, and they don't understand it, and they don't understand what it looks like to have that. And some of these people end up being in addictions, or all kinds of different things, depression, anxiety, all kinds of different things can happen. It just depends on who you have in your life to support you as a child. And in my case, I had people there supporting my necessities, but I remembered only one person that really I felt support from, but it wasn't to guide me. It was more to let me know that I was loved. And that was my my friend's mother, who was the cafeteria lady at my elementary school. That was the only one that I remember, because I think if somebody had mentored me, I think I would have had a more powerful memory of that and the help that they gave me. And they didn't. And it was like, my lesson in this life has been to stand on my own 2 feet and not to take care of everybody else. And that has been consistent with every single relationship that I've ever been in. And it's been like, oh, okay, I'm finally getting that, and still learning how to walk through the sadness and the shame and the fear and the anger and things that come up. And luckily, with all the work that I've done, I noticed that it's easier for me to walk through that now. It's easier for me to forgive myself and forgive other people now. And it's not about, the forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about us, and about how we remember the love and the truth that we have inside of ourselves. And knowing that there is an unknown, knowing that it doesn't work the same way for everybody. I mean, I wish it would, because then I could just snap my fingers and say, hey, I got this great plan that I can help you with, and and come see me, and yada yada yada. It doesn't work that way. You have to, everyone is in a different space, and I don't know, I just don't know. So anyway, I wanted to share this is a Poem Talks. And I wanted to share a poem I had written on November, rewind, September 5th, 2021, as I was starting to get to know myself and understand what was going on. It was still very, very challenging back then. And I just read the poem right before I got on, and I was like, this is perfect. This is a good thing to talk about, because we're told certain things about ourselves, and then we start believing those things about ourselves, and then we start to believe that we're not good enough. And we get this from all areas of our life growing up. We get it from school, we get it from whatever religion that we happen to be in, we get it from friends, we get it from not friends, we get it from family members, because, and not in all cases is it something that is like, our family isn't, in some families, they want us to succeed. So, but they do it in a way that society has taught us, through fear and through, breaking down and building back up, kind of like the military does. And it doesn't work that way. It feels, I mean, it's okay to understand why they do it, but as humans or spirits in this human existence, that's not how we thrive. We thrive on love. We thrive on connection. We thrive on intuition. We thrive on all these divine feminine aspects of ourselves, and we all have them, both men and women. And so anyway, in writing this, I started to see different parts of myself, and that wasn't supposed to happen, but here. So I started to see different parts of myself, and recognized what the difference, I started to recognize the difference between what I was taught what I felt about myself and my truth as I walk through these traumas and clear out my nervous system from the energies of this anger and the fear and the sadness and shame and any other, negative energies. Those are the four big ones that I generally talk about, but there's other ones too. And they're not negative, they're guidelines, they're guidance system. Like anger it has to be there because it protects us. It tells us how to protect our boundaries when we need to. It gives us passion moving forward in our life sometimes. People who get upset about things that happen in the world, and it lights a flame under them to actually find a way to change that. So anger is not a bad thing. It can do bad in the world when it turns into rage, and that's a whole nother conversation. But how do we know who we are if we don't look, if we don't question, if we don't step away from the things that we've learned in the past about who we think we are and look at it in a different light? And on Knowing Myself, the poem, that's what I was looking at back then in 2021. So here's the I'll start to read it. Okay. All my life I've been taught to think others' opinions are more important than I had an instinct. Nothing is clicking, nothing holds true when I listen to myself and hold my own view. Be careful with that. Don't think for yourself. You may offend and make them angry, or else. Maybe coming back home to me has brought me to a place where I can see that strong and powerful woman inside with no need to run and hide. She now understands her need to pursue to thine own self. I need to be true. Just because I listen to myself in here doesn't mean I will lose from fear. The fear of loss has always been big. Sometimes it felt like my life was rigged. They all told me I had to be like them if I were to be welcomed without contempt. That I never really did fit in, and they didn't like that. I felt pain deep within. That really affected me when I was young and continued through life. The words really stung, or the way people had turned their backs on me because I didn't know who I was consistently. It took me many years to find the deeper meaning of my design, of how I showed up on this planet. I lived my life as a romantic, but I couldn't see what I needed to do. And in that, I wanted to review the way my patterns kept me stuck and thinking I didn't matter. I felt like a schmuck. I am finding out all kinds of things now, that the power inside is what I allow to come forth into the world, and then not being concerned what they think like I'm 10. Here's the strength that I can show, something I knew deep down long ago, but I did not trust myself to be me and turned my back on myself and stopped feeling free. And now it is time to turn all that around. I am now standing firmly on the ground. I look out for me and know who I am, and whether or not I am liked, I don't give a damn. Ooh, okay, so that's a little tricky for me because these are the truth inside words, and I still sometimes walk into a space where, yeah, I kind of give a damn what people, whether people like me or not, and that's my process. That's what I'm walking through, and it isn't about them. It's never been about them. It always comes back to us. It always comes back to who we are, the truth, the love inside of us, and being able to recognize that we are, we're not small. We are way bigger than we think we are. And one of the things that I have recognized and worked through in the past week was the fact that I'm too much. I'm too much for some people. And if I'm too much for people, that's okay. getting used to the that's okay part is what I work through in this week. And in a lot of cases, sometimes I think I'm too much, and maybe it was because I learned that I was too much from other people. And it was generally the people who walked away from me, but I couldn't understand that because I had such a fear of loss that it put me in this deep depression. It made me anxious all the time. Like I didn't have anybody to reach out to. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have any, and now I can hold my own space and connect with my little girl, my inner teenager, and love on them. And the more I do that, the more what therapists and other, what they talk about is integration, and the inner child integrates with us as the adult. And when we walk through this, learn how to reparent ourselves. And that's some of the work I do in a different way as a transformational coach. Um, I walk people through connecting with their inner child through energy healing, which a lot of people haven't even met their inner little girl or boy. And that's not surprising because I didn't even know about that until 8 years ago, till 2014. So I had no clue. I mean, I had an inkling of it and I had read about it a little bit, but I didn't know what that looked like. And to be able to connect with your inner child is a revelation, and it gives you the opportunity to hear and meet them in a place where they're still at. That's the stuckness. That's the place where the miracles start, when we meet that inner child. Because it's not really, I mean, to be honest with you, it's an energy. It's a stuck energy of something that little child that you were felt deeply, of some kind of a feeling that got stuck in there. That's whatever that is. And that child didn't know how to deal with it. And as an adult, you can help them walk through that and come to the other side and reinvent your life and reinvent everything that you thought was true about yourself that isn't. And as a part of that healing, I actually can do it distance healing too. I have a surrogate that I use. It's a teddy bear, but I have a surrogate that I use for that. And then in addition, as we progress through that healing process, there's also like transformational coaching, guidance. I like to call it guidance, really. I don't like calling it coaching as much, but it's a word. And I just, I can see the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the potential in people. I don't know. It's a gift I have. I see potential in people, and I want so badly. That's part of my lesson that I get to work on too. But I see that potential, and I know that there's something I can help with to guide through, to meet the inner child, to build on that, to get to the next step, to build the potential, because eventually you get to do this on your own. I don't want it to be where it has to be a consistent lifetime, sentence to constantly have to figure things out and talk about it and work through it and this and that. The connecting to you, the truth about yourself, will bring you to a space of immense joy and excuse me, and bliss and fun and all these things that I totally missed out on my whole life. And now I'm starting to see it. And I say this over and over again. If you've known me for most of my life, you knew what I was like. And I don't even, when I talk, I don't see myself as presenting in that way anymore. And I'm grateful and happy that whatever this is that's going on is very life affirming and positive for me. And even the negative sides, the shadow, you gotta go, the shadow is the important piece, because there's a balance in the work. You can't have you can't have the light without the darkness. So go into the darkness, go into the shadow. So get support if you can't do it on your own yet. Find a way to break free from that grippy monster that holds so tight and causes all these things And the monster's not scary. The monster is just protecting us, protecting our inner children. It's not as bad as we think it is. And if it feels that way, just go find help. There are people out there to support. You just have to take that first step. And if you're going through something that's so deep and painful, I mean, all I can do is send love and hope that you will find a way to reach out to somebody who does that kind of work to help. And it can get better, even if it's just an inkling at a time, in every moment, living in each and every moment, and I think I'm out of thoughts. So whoever's out there who needs to hear this, I know you can do it. I didn't know I could do it, and I'm doing it, and I know that it's possible. It doesn't have to go from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. It's not going to do that. I've been working on myself for over 30 years. However, it's possible to go from 0 to 1 just by reaching out, just by making a decision to shift and not want to be in that space anymore. And I hope that's available to you to see that you don't want to be there anymore. And I don't know, everything works the way it works. So it's just a mystery. And whatever it is that I'm here to support, I'm here to support. And I know in my heart, for my own healing, the right people who need my support, or the people who need my support, will reach out to me so I can guide them. And whatever that means, whatever that looks like. In the meantime, just having fun, sharing my journey. Yay. All right. So I think that's about it. I just want to say thank you and send love and blessings to a beautiful moment each and every day, each and every moment. And I think that's about it. Take care. Bye-bye.